Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Private Equity Rundown. I'm Bill, the company's expert. Thank you for joining me today. This is the weekly live stream where we talk about everything related to private equity, like the name suggests, and other advanced, higher level business concepts. So if you are seeing my beautiful face, you should see a chat box somewhere in the vicinity. If you are a subscriber to my channel for any amount of time, you should be able to get in the chat box and ask me questions. So this is your opportunity to ask about private equity. And this is episode number 19 of this that we've done so far. This episode is entitled, Your Company Just Got Bought. Should you be worried? So if this is you or this is a real life situation that you might be in, then you might be interested in this. And we're going to cover this today. I'm going to basically dive into it and cover this, and then you can have a chance to ask me questions. Now, in grand tradition, I didn't have enough time to prepare, but that's okay because we're just going to talk off the cuff about this. What I'm going to cover today is if you are a employee, you're at the worker level or at the professional level, or maybe even frontline management level. This is going to be for you. This is your perspective. We're going to cover, is your job safe? That's kind of the first thing we're going to talk about. Then we're going to talk about updating your LinkedIn profile, your resume, and doing some networking, stuff like that. And finally, we're going to talk about how to know if your company was acquired in a private equity deal. Because sometimes they don't just come out and announce this. So let's dive in. Okay, here we go. So is your job safe? So first of all, I'm not going to cover what private equity is. That's what we've been covering on the stream for weeks, right? But if you're just joining us, private equity is essentially, it's where a bunch of individuals get together, they pool their money and they purchase companies. And it's not like a publicly traded company where, your company has stocks and shares and stuff that are traded publicly. This is a private deal. Okay, so therefore, they don't really have to do a lot of things like announcing it if they don't want to. Basically, private equity companies, they are firms that buy other companies, and you can think of it as they flip companies in the same way that someone would flip a house. They buy it, they fix it up, and then they sell it at presumably a higher price. And that's how they make their money. They hold on to the firms for about maybe 5 years, somewhere in there. And this is what we've been covering. It's actually a very, very popular thing, especially in the last 20 years. This has really, really come into the forefront. So a lot of smaller independent companies are being bought up by private equity firms, and also some larger ones. We're getting into even like billion-dollar company status. We're getting into that area these days. It's really interesting. So the big thing is what happens when your company is bought out by a private equity firm. What do they do? And if you are concerned for your job primarily, let's talk about that. Now, understanding what to expect kind of requires you to understand what private equity companies do. In a nutshell, what they're doing is they're flipping the company. And so they're going to be doing several things. One of them will be looking for efficiencies. So if your job is in a sort of core area that adds value to the business, chances are you're probably safe. You don't have to worry about them eliminating your job or laying you off or anything like that. If your role, on the other hand, is more in sort of a non-core area, like you're an administrator, you work in HR, or you do something that's non-core to the business, that's when it's a little bit more risky, right? Companies will try and trim around their core areas. So support roles like middle management, a little bit higher risk there. If you're in a revenue-generating area, or you're a customer-facing area or a technical area, then generally speaking, you're probably safer. That's how that works. There are, where the rubber meets the road, there's different things you can watch for. Like, for example, the classic sign of, is your job at risk? usually derives from how the communication goes internally, right? So if all of a sudden they start talking to you, they start cutting you out of announcements and giving you the news, like what's going on and all this kind of stuff, that's probably not a good sign. Okay. The other thing is that private equity firms, they generally will take on a ton of debt. That can sometimes be good for the business, sometimes not so good. It really depends. It doesn't really affect employees really that much. Some signs are also, if you're in, like what I'm saying today applies only to sort of the lower levels. If you're in upper management, anything can happen. Usually a sign of being acquired is they replace their upper leadership. That's just the standard thing. So, if you're acquired and you're like, an executive, something like that, chances are you're probably at risk. Okay, let's put it that way. So that's the deal. Now, what I would recommend for this kind of thing is that if your company's been acquired, okay, regardless of where you are, it's just a smart thing to update your resume, update your LinkedIn profile, and start doing some networking. Like these are very good, just placeholder things. Regardless of what you see, regardless of what your situation is, it's always a good thing to do that. And you should kind of be doing this almost as a default thing anyway, just to keep your ear to the ground and see what else is out there. It's always a good thing. So if you're in this situation, there's really no difference, we could get into it. I normally talk about job search and this kind of thing anyway, so I'm not really going to get into that, I don't think, unless anybody wants to ask me. I see here that Behringer is here. Hello to Behringer. Says, been through a company buyout. Biggest change for me was the change in corporate culture. Yeah, exactly. And you do see all kinds. You get private equity firms that happen essentially on the down low. Like they don't announce that there's a change of ownership, and they don't really change major things like the culture. You might get a leadership change, or you might not even sometimes. And it's really hard to detect that the company has actually changed hands. There's new people that own it, right? Other times it's plain as day. You can't not notice because it's in your face, and they might have eliminated your job even. So, it really runs the gamut. Yeah, let's get to the thing I think that a lot of people would probably be more interested here. And that is, was this actually a private equity acquisition? That's kind of the big question. It's all very well to say, update your resume, do some networking, and look for companies that are hiring or networking opportunities in firms that aren't owned by private equity. But how do you know? How do you know if they've been bought out by private equity? Now, the thing is, when they make announcements, of this nature, if your firm has been acquired, a lot of times they don't use terms like private equity or we're under new management, or the firm has been acquired. They don't use those types of buzzwords that really tip you off. They'll have a lot of euphemisms for, what's going on. And it's quite hard to tell if your company has been bought if they don't make an announcement, and they want to keep that information to themselves, which they can. There's no legal obligation to announce to everyone that there's new ownership, right? If they don't want to. So how do you tell? One thing to do is to go online, go to Google, type in the name of your company, and type in private equity, and then see what that produces. Or type in the name of the company and type in acquisition. Okay, that also can yield some information about this. If you don't know if the company that you're wanting to go towards is owned by private equity, same thing. You have to do these kind of Google searches. There are places you can go if you want to get really sophisticated, where you could look up firms and like things like Crunchbase, Yahoo Finance sometimes has that stuff. Bloomberg, they often report about private equity acquisitions, this kind of stuff. There's even something called PitchBook that's more integrated into the buying and selling of firms through private equity. you can look up there. They have some limited information, that you can access publicly. So these are resources that you could get into if you really wanted to. But for a lot of people, that's something you're going to have to do if you want to learn that your company's been acquired. Some things that might tip you off are, where they come out and make announcements where they use things like restructuring, right? Re-engineering, things like this. All these kind of management jargon type words, right? So that's definitely something. But yeah, I mean, that's basically the thing. Let's open up to questions. I mean, I'm really feeling the burn of not having had not even a single minute to prepare for this today. So, but these are some of the issues anyway that people are going to be concerned about. And, on the one sense, I feel like it's going off into what is private equity, and in another sense is going off into how do you look for jobs, So I'm trying to avoid those and do things that are in between. But anyway, there are 5 people here. Thank you for being here. And if you can overlook my my scattered kind of performance here today. Also, as always, a shout out goes out to my YouTube channel members, right? Membership has the privileges. My Patreons, my super thanks donors, and of course to you for being here. Thank you for being here. And next week, I'm going to be taking a break from live streams for at least a week, possibly 2 weeks. I'm going to be back on Monday with my regular Monday stuff. I've got a collaboration on Monday with Abby from the Life-Work Balance channel. Every 2 weeks we get together, we answer your questions about job search. So I'm going to be doing that and doing my entrepreneurship live stream in the morning. But beyond that, I'm going to be back after that, possibly 2 weeks afterwards. So, yeah, I've been going through the entire year so far every week. I figure I take a break, especially when I'm doing things like this where I don't get to prepare very well. So, but yeah, I'd like to open it up to questions. If anybody does have any questions about this kind of thing, if your employer has been acquired by a private equity firm, you're wondering about what to expect, or there's a chance that they might be, and you're wondering what's the best thing for you to do in your situation, let me know in the chat, and I will be happy to see if I can help you out. Anyway. So, yeah, what I'd like to do actually is I'm just totally going off topic here while I wait for if there's any questions. What I'd like to do is I'd like to do a sort of live stream where I do like a high level run through of, I think it's like 7 methods of getting a job. And the first method, one of them is applying to posted jobs. The rest are more high level stuff, things that you can do if you wanted to. But a lot of people that do them are more upper management, executive board member types. And I wanted to share that with you guys. I just wanted to do a run through on a live stream. So I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I thought that might be a good thing to run through for a lot of people because, you get people coming in to channels like mine at various points in their careers, people that are just starting out. All they know is like how to apply to posted jobs. And even that they don't really know very well. And then you get people that are more sort of like mid-level management that are using networking primarily as their tool for finding career opportunities, and people that are sort of higher up. And I wanted to share all of that stuff. It's more like higher level things. I cover it obviously in this course that you can get if you are between jobs, you're looking for a job. That'll help you. Okay, so if you are affected by your company being acquired, okay, this course can help you. Whether you're worker level, professional level, or you're in management, you're up to about middle management. Okay, that course definitely. And I wanted to talk about that stuff and do a run through because I don't think I've ever actually done that on my channel ever. And I might do something where as I'm talking, I'm bouncing the ideas off ChatGPT so you can see. It kind of validates some of the things I'm saying because a lot of these methods are probably not known they're not commonplace, put it that way. So we'll be talking about that. Yeah. Okay. Well, well, hopefully this was somewhat useful. This is a big real issue. After covering, how many episodes have we done of this? After covering very technical issues, episode after episode, this has sort of been the very informal sort of ending of it. We're going to be taking 1 or 2 weeks off. And, there's a lot of people out there that their employer is being acquired right now. Private equity has really come to the forefront where they own a substantial proportion of a lot of the businesses out there. So, there's a lot of people working for private equity firms essentially, and a lot of them are unaware of it. So, this is a relevant issue. Anyway, last chance. Let me know if you have any questions. Get in the chat, and I will be happy to help you out. If you are in this situation or you fear that you might be in this situation, bottom line is if you can detect if your firm has been acquired, if you can make sure that you're always looking, you always have an updated resume, you always have an updated LinkedIn profile, and you know how to do networking within your industry. Okay, so a lot of times, for a lot of people, that will start with your job. You go to work and you interact with the people around you. A lot of people will even interact with people outside of their company or their organization as part of their job. So that's like the beginnings of that professional networking. Then on top of that, if you learn about methods like direct outreach and a lot of things I'm going to cover in a live stream very soon, a lot of the major methods of getting a job that rely on networking, and they're focused for introverts, right? They do that kind of stuff. That will help you. That'll help you regardless of your situation. You will not be caught in a situation where you are laid off. You didn't see it coming. You weren't prepared for it. And you didn't know what to do about it. So there you go. Anyway, thank you for the people that were here. You guys are awesome. There's 5 people here right now. I will be back not next Friday at this time. Maybe not the Friday after that, but in 3 weeks, I will definitely be back with another episode of Private Equity Rundown. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or you have any topic suggestions for what you'd like me to cover, when hopefully I'm more prepared, I'll be happy to do it. So thank you very much. I will see you guys soon. Take care.